Welcome back, everyone. Chris Matthew with Forbidden Knowledge News. Today, I want to welcome Michael Telstarr. He has attended the Monroe Institute for their Gateway and Trainers program. He has also attained his remote viewing in coordinate, extended, and masters with David Morehouse. His demonstrations of the paranormal, combined with his mastery of energy and principles of the metaphysical, will leave you feeling amazed. Michael, welcome. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing terrific, Chris. It's a lovely day here in Toronto, Ontario. It's over 60 Fahrenheit, and it's starting to get really nice. And I'm really looking forward to this trip because they still have a lockdown here in Toronto, and I'm really going to be looking forward to going to the US for this conference.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're going to be able to make it. I know there's a couple of speakers that aren't going to be able to make it because of the, COVID restrictions. So that's going to be great to see you. It's going to be great to see all of your presentations. You have multiple, and that's what we're doing here today. We're going to get a little teaser of what you're going to be doing at the Laughlin UFO MIGA conference. So tell us about each of your presentations. I know one of them is going to be about three of my favorite topics: remote viewing, time travel, and extraterrestrials.
Yes, there's remote viewing is the modern terminology for clairvoyance, basically, and everybody has the inherent ability to learn how to remote view, by the way, so you can learn to do it. But I'll be talking about remote viewing and correlations with extraterrestrials. In other words, when you remote view, you usually are attracted to areas of high strangeness. So I found that when I was remote viewing, I'd be attracted to what I would call unidentified flying objects, or whatever you want to term that, make the term. And I also found out by accident that I could time travel as well, either into the past or into the future. So people will have these experiences and call them deja vus, synchronicities and so on and so forth. But I'll be getting a lot to not just how to remote view into time travel, but how to, if you want to establish communication with higher life forms. So some may be extraterrestrials, and some may be beings, higher life forms that are indigenous to this world, even.
When you're trying to communicate with extraterrestrials, should you be concerned about communicating with the wrong type of extraterrestrials, like a more malevolent species? Is there something that you should do to prepare, or get in contact with the right ones?
Yeah, that's a good question, Chris. I suppose that there's always the off chance that you're going to connect with entities or life forms that are going to be positive. However, I'm of the belief that if you're a positive human being, if you're a positive person, you will attract like-minded individuals or beings. So I have had some negative experiences when I was younger, not knowing what I was doing. And you can connect with them, but I would say for most people not to worry about that. If you have good intentions and you have good positive beliefs, that you will connect with positive beings. So remote viewing is one of the tools that you can apply. There are other ways of communicating with other life forms as well, but remote viewing is something that can be learned and be done by anybody, anywhere. And basically, you send out thought waves, and you send out messages out there of wanting to attract with other life forms and other entities, but you have to be ready for this kind of an experience too. So not everybody will have experiences just like that. Obviously, you have to be mentally, spiritually aware and know yourself and know what you're doing. And plus, it's not going to be like when you remote view, you're just going to instantly connect with somebody. Not like knocking on a door. So, but you can. It is a tool that can be applied for connecting with higher life forms, including extraterrestrials, or EBEs, as I like to call them, extra biological entities. And if you focus on the positive and you know yourself, you will eventually come in, contact with some higher life forms. And a lot of people have, and a lot of people haven't. But if you don't have any, doesn't mean that they don't know of you. So when you start to remote view, you start getting to a higher, your brain emanates alpha and theta brain waves. So you start sending out this beacon of energy. And this beacon of energy is a little unusual because you emanate it while you're in a conscious state. Normally, when you emanate theta, you're in an unconscious state, REMing, rapid eye movement, sleeping, dreaming, for example. So when you start emanating this peculiar energy, and it will get the attention of other life forms and other beings out there. So they will notice you, but if they don't contact you, doesn't mean that you haven't succeeded. But of course, remote viewing can be applied for a plethora of other possibilities, and the ways that you can apply it are endless.
That is amazing. And now you said along with the remote viewing, you figured out that you were able to time travel. Could you explain how that works a little bit? And I know that time isn't how we perceive it linearly, really. How is this working, and how are you experiencing this?
Well, I had a lot of experiences of deja vus, and I'm sure you've had that yourself, Chris. Synchronicities where you're at the right place at the right time. And I learned that I was inadvertently time traveling. Now, this is not in the physical state, of course. This is in a non physical state through the consciousness, through the mind. So, the consciousness, awareness, or the consciousness is not limited by linear time, right? The past, the present, and the future all exist, on the basically they're on the same platform, right? People may put them as backwards, present, now, and then future, but that's only because we're mortal beings, and that's what we do. How to do that so that we can live in an everyday life. So I accidentally learned that I could go back into the past and communicate with my younger self. And what I did was I changed a decision that I made in the past, and when I came to the present, the outcome was manifested as if it had happened. So I don't know if I'm explaining that properly, but if you have a decision that you made in the past that you were not happy about, you can remote view your past, go back to that incident, communicate with your past self, and then the ripples of that decision, changing that moment, can have an impact on your present life. So I did that, not thinking I was just, I didn't know I didn't realize that anything was going to happen, but something did happen where my present moment was changed as a result of my changing that decision. I also learned that I accidentally time traveled when I went and when I was thought I was speaking to somebody in the present, and then I met them, and then a few days later or a couple of weeks later, and exactly the same thing was said when I met them in the physical, or met them in the non-physical through remote viewing. So there was a conversation, and I knew what this person was going to say before they said it, right? And I actually spoke simultaneously sometimes at the same time as they did. So that was one way that I found out too that you can do that by accident.
Wow, that is really cool. And finally, you're also going to be giving a seminar on remote viewing, right?
Yes, I'm doing a demonstration. I'm going to be doing a remote viewing demonstration on the 9th, on June 9th at 9 o'clock at Pisces Room and at the Aquarius. But I'll be doing a thanks to a large part to my good friend Bob Brown, who's the founder too of the conference. He's given me access to the Pisces Room, and I'll be doing a secrets of remote viewing, a 3 hour seminar to 60 lucky participants. And I like to refer to my students as Obinauts. It's a word I made up, Chris, that means it's an explorer of the inner and the outer world, the microcosm and the macrocosm, Obinaut, out of body adventures, right? So I'll be talking about techniques. There are 6 levels to remote viewing, and each stage of the remote viewing takes 100 hours really technically to learn. But I'll be kind of going through a kind of a condensed, it's going to be very impactful, 3 hours, but I'll be giving a manual with it as well, my manual on remote viewing. And I'm going to be giving people I'm going to be giving the basic concepts to remote viewing, what it is, how could it be applied, the aperture, how you see things, how do you eliminate white noise? Because everybody remote views when they get an impression. They get a visual, they get a sensation, they get an impression, and then it happens, or they see it happen. I'm sure that's happened to you, and it happens to a lot of people, except they don't know what they're remote viewing. They don't know what they're picking up. So I'll give them a technique on the spot on how they could remote view something at will, how to open the aperture, and how to focus, how to get into the alpha brainwave state, because you can't remote view unless you're in a focused state of attention. It's kind of like a hypnotic state, right? If you're just in a regular mind state, then you're not able to do it. So I'll be teaching people how to get into that state, how to maintain it for a while, and we're going to do a couple of targets too as well, some simple targets.
That is awesome. I can't wait for that. And I can't wait to meet you at the conference, hear all your presentations, and especially meet everyone there. So that's going to be amazing time. If people want to find out more about you and, some of the research and stuff that you're doing, is there any social media or website or anything that
Sure.
people can
If
go
they
to?
want to contact me, Chris, if they want to reserve a spot in advance to take my seminar, for example, they just go to my website, michaeltelstarr.com, and I have a section there on my website where they could communicate with me. And if they want to reserve a space, for the actual program, they can. Oops, pardon me. I just accidentally pulled out my plug there. There we go.
All righty.
All right. Am I back
Perfect.
on?
You're back. You're good.
Yeah. So I should have seen that coming. I didn't see it coming. All right. So yeah. So if people want to reserve a spot, they can do that. If they have a question, I'll get back to them within 24 hours. And I am so looking forward to going to this conference. I was slated to go last year, but I couldn't make it because of the pandemic. But
Right. Yeah, I remember that. I
now I'm all
was
set.
actually waiting to see you there, and you couldn't
Yeah.
make it.
Yeah, I couldn't make it. But this year, everything is clear. Everything is going to be okay, and I'm going to be there.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait for that. That's going to be a great time, Michael. Thank you for stopping by
Yes.
today. And
Thanks, Chris.
thank all of you, and we will see you all in Laughlin. This year's Laughlin UFO Mega Conference is going to be the biggest, most extraordinary ever. It's going to feature over 36 scientists, researchers, and contactees presenting incredible new disclosures over 7 days. You can now register for the full week, for half a week, or even by the day or session. During this incredible week, not only will there be over 35 amazing presentations, which, by the way, will only be one at a time, so you don't have to miss anything. You're going to get an amazing skywatch, meet and greets, exclusive film screenings, and the opportunity to hang out with me. Go to their website, LaughlinUFOMegaConference.com, and register now. Last year's conference was awesome, and this year's will be even better. Join us for an incredible 7 days of education and disclosure at the Laughlin UFO Mega Conference.